Welcome to the Supplier Diversity and Inclusion Podcast by Fips Consulting. In this podcast, I speak with international guests who share their experience on supplier diversity and inclusion. Today, I speak with Pinky Ghadiali, located in Scotland. She is founder and CEO of Netwomen. So Pinky, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you, Andrea. So great to be here. I really enjoy speaking with you. And also, I love doing podcasts. So what a great combination.
Cool. So do you want to quickly tell us about some things about yourself, what you do, and so on?
Yes, I would love to. So my background is I'm an optometrist. I stopped doing that after I became a leadership coach. So I have 10 years of experience in transformational leadership coaching, helping ambitious people overcome imposter syndrome, stress, burnout, limiting beliefs to break the glass ceiling. And when I started doing that, I realized that most people that were coming to me were women, and those women were specifically struggling with those issues, but also struggling with being held back within their careers by other women. And one of the things that I found in my career also is that it was other women often that held us back from, or held me back from my next role, my next position, or perhaps advancing my career. And so from that point, I realized there needs to be a place where we can be real, where we can be ourselves, that we can come together and support each other and lift each other up rather than bringing each other down. And so I created Netwomen back in 2020, a month before COVID, specifically for females, to help elevate females to the top and to help keep them there. And our mission is to bridge the gender and ethnicity gap and to move that needle on gender equality through equity by creating that 50-50 split at the top. And our mission is that we empower and elevate 1 million people in 5 years. And, you know, we still see that figure, 132 years until gender equality, and those stats are unreal to me. So I feel that Netwomen is going to exist until that happens.
Wow. Yeah, I love your ambition and the goal to empower 1 million women. Within the next 5 years?
Yeah. Scary.
Okay. Oh, cool. No, I love it. I mean, set goals high, right? Otherwise it's easy to achieve them, and that's not,
absolutely. Set goals.
No point in that. Right. So I heard from you what made you start your business. So what kind of challenges do you face, especially as small women, minority-owned business?
Many challenges I face as a woman, but also a woman of colour, and also living in Scotland. Funnily enough, I've got an English accent. That's not very well accepted up here.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. We have been working with industries from all sectors. So we're industry agnostic, right? And I think our biggest challenge when I started it 4 years ago, we were actually B2C, offering this to founders and to entrepreneurs. But quickly I realized that, firstly, founders and entrepreneurs don't have the time, don't have the money, and rarely tend to invest in themselves when they should really be investing in themselves, and they struggle to do so because of these limitations that unfortunately they can't change. And I think that's, as a founder and a CEO myself, we're very time limited. And you'll know this as well, being a founder and CEO of your own business, that time and money and those things that are on a month by month basis. And often what we do is, within what I do, I would say, is that I think the biggest struggle has been to create those connections with corporates. It's a struggle because it takes so long to get through the processes. The procurement process is horrendous, often takes a year, 2 years, sometimes more, sometimes not at all. Sometimes you just get ghosted. Mm-hmm. And so I think that, and also, am I a tick box, right? So that second thing is, yes, supplier diversity is really important, and more money should be spent for women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, 100%. But are they doing that as a tick box, or are they doing that because we're actually good at what we do? And I always question that. And that's, I think, one of the questions that I often get asked when women reach leadership positions. Same thing, right? Are you getting that job because you tick a box, because you're a woman or a woman of color, or both? Or are you there? So is that a tokenistic gesture, or is that, just like a front pager, look who we have as our CEO, or look who we have on our C-suite, versus you're actually really good and you deserve to be here. So there's always that going on in my mind. And I know that there's lots of women out there that will resonate with that.
Yeah, it's a thin line, right? Between having, maybe, that's also a risk of having quotas, right? Because you need to meet some kind of number, but you don't want to promote or have people from underrepresented groups, maybe if you have a certain quota there, in management, or buying from them just because, right? It's, you want to be chosen because you're good and you can deliver what they need, and they want to work with you, and not because of other reasons. Yeah. So what do you think, how can companies overcome them? I mean, it's very difficult, right? And but what are your thoughts?
I think I keep getting told, oh, everybody struggles with this. It's a slow process. There's lots of hoops to jump through. And I think those processes can definitely put suppliers like us from small businesses off, right? That is not something we want to do. We don't want to get involved. And as a diverse supplier from a small business, I think our innovation and our agility make us stand out massively. But then at the same time, as a diverse supplier, companies need to be more willing to not just have us as a tick box, but actually include us as suppliers to make up the numbers, and not just, and give us a chance to actually win the business as well, right? So they have quotas, they have numbers. Give us a chance to actually win this, and not just do it and go beyond that checkbox quota, tokenistic gesture. Oh yes, we're sustainable, diverse, and all that kind of stuff, where they can actually show that there's measurable impacts to smaller businesses like us. And they've got the money. They can put the money in. It's just, are they doing it just because they've had the same supplier for 5, 10 years and they just can't be bothered to change it? Or they can't see beyond that supplier and they think, oh, well, it's good, nothing's broken, just keep it as it is. It's the same with what we're doing at Netwomen. There's many businesses that will approach and they'll say, well, what we're doing is working, it's fine, why should we change it? So it comes down to, if you don't do it, you are going to get left behind. If you don't change the leadership positions, and change it up and include more people from diverse backgrounds, you are going to get left behind. It's like an old dinosaur company then. Nobody from the millennials or the Gen Zs want to work for a company that is old, pale, male and stale. And these organizations that think right now that they are up there and they're doing great things and they're doing really well, it's not going to last, because we're already seeing changes and we're seeing people notice this, and there needs to be some changes that happen both on the supplier diversity side as well as leadership.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of both. I don't want to blame, either side, like the small businesses or the corporates. I think it needs a bit of both, right? So the bigger companies, they need to look internally and also look at their processes and look at what they can change internally to make sure that there is attract more diverse talents, but also diverse businesses. I would love to hear from you how, you were part of We Connect International, or still are, and MSC UK. So how did you hear about the concept of supplier diversity initially?
It was actually another business owner, and he is from the LGBTQ plus community, and he said to me, you need to go onto one of these, forums, communities to get in front of corporates, get in front of bigger companies, because what you're doing is great and it's needed. And that's when I found out about it. It's probably about 3 years ago now. I've only been in We Connect for 2 years now. So yeah. MSC UK, I was there for a year. I decided I needed to pick one or the other, so I picked We Connect.
Yeah. So being located in Scotland, how is the perception about supplier diversity? Is this something people talk about? How is it in your bubble? Do you talk about your family, friends about supplier diversity, or is it something you're not really talking about?
I think it's an interesting concept. I don't think Scotland's there yet. I think it's quite an old school model here. I think Scotland's behind England by about 5 years at least. I think I'm being generous with that. But it is, none of my business is here at the moment. It's all UK wide, global. So yeah, US, Canada, very open, know everything about it. And doing business in London as well. It's common knowledge. I think businesses are getting more and more information about this. And I think that the good thing about it is that there is more awareness. Awareness is obviously the first step about supplier diversity.
Right.
So yeah, I think slowly Scotland will get there. But because we're remote as a business, so all of my directors and associates work all over the UK and all over the US and Canada, that we don't, culturally, we're very flexible. I think that makes us stand out quite a lot compared to a lot of the other companies, that we have facilitators based in different countries, so we can adapt, we can be agile, we can customize everything according to the different cultures and backgrounds that we're faced, and the different industries we're faced with, because everybody that we have on the team is ex-corporate and from different industries, so they can really speak to the audience as well when we deliver the programs.
But is that something that you discuss with your closer people, with friends, family now outside of business?
Yeah, I think my friends who I hang out with, they're aware of supplier diversity. I think my family know about it as well because I talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, I don't think anyone would know. I think it's still a education piece around it, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. If you speak D&I in companies, it's all about workforce and internal actions, right?
Yeah.
So even though it's a huge challenge and always a struggle as entrepreneur, how are there any success stories that you can share? Is there like a thing that you're very proud of?
Yeah, we've had some really good openings and opportunities and deals. So initially our focus was, right, we need to figure out which industries we're actually going to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that this has just happened in the last year or so. We've actually figured this out. But in that time, we partnered with some great businesses and some great associations. So Association of Business Mentors is one of our partners. We work closely with them. They provide a mentorship to our 12-month Career Accelerator program. They come to our panel discussions, very supportive of what we're doing, and we're a good fit because they need us for DEIB, belonging, inclusion, and the things around women. Trying to get more women to be mentors and women to be those sponsors within organizations is very important. So that was a really great connection for us and partnership. And also we're now focusing on the sports industry and the tech industry. So tech was already there from the start because we knew that we needed to work with more and more tech companies going from the startup stage now to scale up and growth. So probably not seed, but more like Series A or B. And then we've had some success with sports fitness and running. We incorporated in the US in 2022. And since then, we've had some connections in the US, Canada, and also in the UK with the Running Industry Alliance. So yeah, that's been good because we've been able to connect really with the sports industry. Running's actually different because running's actually a retail industry. So sports and fitness, although it seems like it falls under the same category, it's slightly diverse because it's a different industry sector altogether. So yeah, I guess we're really focusing on those three industries. We've had some great traction with some great sporting brands. Yeah, I think we'll just continue doing that because I think one of the major problems we had initially was what was our sweet spot? What was our niche?
Right.
How can we find that industry that really, I mean, all industries need us, right? But we can't be everywhere.
No.
So I think, yeah, I think for us, that's where we feel the most comfortable, most of value, and also they are industries again that need our help, don't they all?
Totally. And speaking of sports, what about football? I mean, that's like the big thing well, I would say in Scotland probably as well, but in the UK overall, right?
Yeah, what about football? I mean, football for me, it's just, yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of how can we provide that equity to women's football to the same level as men's football. And I get it that women's football doesn't get the number of spectators as men's football. Of course it doesn't, because men's football has been around for a lot longer and they've had a lot of sponsorship and they get a lot of advertising. They get all the money and the funding, but women's football doesn't. How can we then leverage that and use that as an opportunity for women's football? And I think that's a really interesting time because I'd much rather go and watch a women's football game than a man's one because the culture is totally different. I was speaking to somebody about that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. A guy actually said to me, I'd much rather go to a women's football game than a man's one, because it means that I'm not going to hear the annoying chanting, drunkard behaviour, racism, all of that. The culture is so different. It's almost like rugby. I prefer rugby as a sport because it's a little bit more accepted to be a bit more, culturally acceptable for a person of colour to go to a rugby match than it is to go to a football match. And I know that from experience. And, I'll say this because I know my son will probably listen to this, but he's never been to a football match because I'm scared that he's going to go to a football match and he's going to end up being leered at, shouted at for being a person of colour. And that saddens me because he has been to rugby matches before. And it's much more diverse. And you don't feel like the other or the outsider. It's much more inclusive.
Very interesting. Well said, but I hope you can go to a football match with him very soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too.
Let's go to a bit more positive topic. So if you had one wish, not the football game, but if you had another wish, then what would that be?
Wow. I actually haven't thought about this, and so I'm having a moment. There's lots of wishes I have. I feel like I think there needs to be more emphasis on equity and leadership. So if there's one wish that I'd like is that more people in leadership positions, specifically white men, sponsor female talent to make it a requirement across the workplace to have a diverse leadership suite. That would be my one thing.
Love it. But going back to your goals, how close are you already to the 1 million?
Oh, I mean,
well, you got 5 years, right?
I've got 5 years. I feel like I'm quite a way away, but with the work that we're doing and the partnerships that we're creating with associations and organizations, I'm thinking the snowball effect. I'm thinking this is going to be big. And if you'd asked me 5 years ago or 4 years ago, just before I started the business, a month before COVID, do you think this is what you'd be doing? I would have said, hell no.
Why would I put myself into that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But now you're in it, and I'm sure you love it, right? I mean, there are all the challenges and the pains and the sleepless nights and all that, but it's just, there is a reason why we're here. Yeah,
absolutely agree with that. I think entrepreneurs, if you're an entrepreneur, it's like a baby. The business is like a baby. You're up through the night. You are waking up early. You're working constantly. You don't have a social life. You can barely put food on the table sometimes. Some months are better than others. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, it is. It is. But is there anything that you would do differently, thinking back like the 3-4 years now?
I think I would have started this business earlier if I had the confidence to do it And that's why I think confidence is so important for women, because there's plenty of women out there who are idealizing or saying that they've got these ideas, they've created amazing things in their head, but they just don't have the confidence to do it. And I think in my 20s, if I'd started this in my 20s, I mean, this would have been amazing at this point. But I feel that as women in business and being an entrepreneur, I think start soon, start early, and keep going. Be as persistent as you possibly can be. If somebody says no, it doesn't mean no. It means, no, I'm not ready right now, but I might be ready in a couple of months. So just keep me on your radar, and it's up to you to follow up, right? I had to learn this throughout my 4 years in being with Netwomen, but also doing what I do with the coaching with Mindset by Pinky, is that clients will say no, but they don't mean I don't ever want to hear from you again.
Right.
They mean the time is not right, I don't have the money, whatever. But you might go back to them, and this has happened to me before, you go back to them a couple of months down the line, and they go, oh yeah, I'm interested now. Imagine if you didn't go back to them.
Right. Yeah. It's all about timing, right? It's about maybe the person just had too many things on their desk and they were like not interested, but don't take it personally and don't stop reaching out. Don't become a pain, right? Don't harass people, but still be persistent and be there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Pinky, it was so great to talk to you, but I only have one last thing that I want to know from you. If there is anything that you want to share as a key advice for an entrepreneur or for the audience overall.
I think I've said a little bit already, start early and keep going. I think one of the other things is, one of the major reasons why businesses fail is because you give up or you quit. And I understand that there is a place where you need to quit, right? But it is sheer persistence. It is just keep going and believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will.
Wow. True words, and I think everyone should really take this close to heart, and I love having this conversation with you, Pinky. It was so great. It was totally going in all directions, and thank you so much for sharing all your insights and also sharing your personal opinion on a lot of things.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
And if you want to make your supply chain more inclusive, reach out via fipsconsulting.com or Fips Consulting on LinkedIn. Listen in to my next episodes where I talk to more experts about supplier diversity and inclusion and the impact on their business or organization. If you have any inputs or topics around supplier diversity and inclusion you want me to talk about, reach out as well. Thanks much for listening, and bye, Diverse Owned.